General Harrison Wade had seen 3 wars, commanded armies across 4 continents, and earned more medals than he had wall space to display them. At 73, his hair was silver white, his back slightly bent from decades of service, and his hands showed the weathered marks of a lifetime spent in uniform. To the Zephyrian Empire, he looked like exactly what they expected from the primitive species they'd just conquered: old, frail, and utterly insignificant. The capture had been swift and surgical. Zephyrian shock troops had descended on the Pentagon during an emergency session of the Joint Chiefs, their energy weapons cutting through Earth's defenses like paper. Wade had been dragged from the Situation Room, still wearing his dress blues, the fabric now torn and dusty from the rough handling. Now he stood in the center of the Zephyrian command ship's interrogation chamber, a massive crystalline room that hummed with alien technology. Around him, 7-foot-tall beings with iridescent blue skin and elongated skulls observed him like scientists studying a particularly dull specimen. Their leader, Supreme Commander Zix Thara, regarded Wade with what could only be described as amused contempt. "So this is what passes for military leadership among your kind," Zix Thara said, her voice carrying a melodic quality that made the words somehow more insulting. "A decrepit old creature who can barely stand upright." The assembled Zephyrians clicked and chittered in what Wade recognized as laughter. Their translator devices rendered it as a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane. "Tell me, Ancient One," continued the Supreme Commander, circling Wade like a predator, "how many of your pathetic soldiers died because of your incompetence? How many worlds has your species conquered with such leadership?" Wade remained silent, his pale blue eyes tracking the alien's movements with the calm assessment of a career military man. He'd been interrogated before by the Viet Cong in 71, by Iraqi insurgents in 3, by congressional committees more times than he cared to count. This was just another day at the office. "Perhaps you didn't hear me, fossil," Zix Thara hissed, leaning close enough that Wade could smell the ozone scent of her breath. "I asked you a question." "I heard you," Wade replied quietly, his voice carrying the gravelly tone of a lifetime smoker. "I'm just trying to figure out if you actually want an answer, or if you're just working through some kind of superiority complex." The chamber fell silent. Several Zephyrians exchanged glances, their bioluminescent patches flickering in what Wade had learned was their equivalent of raised eyebrows. Zix Thara straightened, her forearms spreading in a gesture of mock surprise. "It speaks, and with such attitude. Tell me, General Wade, yes, we know who you are. Do you truly believe your primitive species can resist the might of the Zephyrian Empire?" "Resist?" Wade let out a dry chuckle that seemed to echo off the crystalline walls. "Lady, we haven't even started yet." "Haven't started?" The Supreme Commander's laughter was like breaking glass. "We've destroyed your orbital defenses, neutralized your nuclear arsenals, and occupied your major population centers. Your world fell in 6 hours. What exactly haven't you started?" Wade straightened, and for a moment something flickered in his eyes that made the nearest Zephyrian take an involuntary step backward. Despite his age, despite the circumstances, there was something about the old human that suddenly seemed dangerous. "You took our toys away and declared victory," Wade said, his voice never rising above conversational level. "You think war is about who has the bigger guns, the faster ships, the fancier technology. But you made one crucial mistake." "And what mistake was that, old man?" Wade looked directly into Zix Thara's multifaceted eyes, and when he spoke, his words carried the weight of every battle he'd ever fought, every soldier he'd ever lost, every victory he'd ever earned. "You left us alive." The chamber's ambient hum seemed to falter for a moment. "You see," Wade continued, beginning to pace despite his restraints, "you studied our technology, our weapons, our defenses, but you never studied us. You don't understand what humans are capable of when you back us into a corner." "Enlighten me," Zixthara said, though her tone had lost some of its mocking quality. "We're persistence hunters, sweetheart. We're the species that chased mammoths across continents until they collapsed from exhaustion. We're the ones who figured out how to split atoms just so we could drop them on each other. We've been killing each other in increasingly creative ways for 10,000 years, and we've gotten very, very good at it." Wade stopped pacing and fixed the Supreme Commander with a stare that had once made a Taliban warlord confess his sins. "You want to know our secret weapon? It's not our technology. It's not our numbers. It's the fact that we're absolutely insane. We'll strap explosives to our chests and walk into your command centers. We'll turn our children into soldiers. We'll poison our own water supplies just to deny them to you. We'll fight with sticks and stones and harsh language if we have to." The Zephyrians had stopped their chittering. Several were backing away from the old human, though they probably didn't understand why. "Right now," Wade continued, his voice gaining strength, "in caves and basements and forgotten bunkers all over Earth, my people are planning. They're building bombs out of fertilizer and fuel oil. They're teaching teenagers how to field strip weapons. They're memorizing the locations of your supply depots and counting your patrol schedules." Zixthara's bioluminescent patches had dimmed considerably. "You're bluffing. Your species is broken, demoralized." Wade smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "You know what the difference is between you and us. You fight wars to win territory, resources, strategic advantage. We fight wars because we don't know how to quit. We've been doing it so long it's in our DNA." He leaned forward as much as his restraints would allow, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "You want war? We will give you war. Not the clean, technological conquest you're used to. We'll give you the kind of war that lasts generations. The kind that turns your soldiers into jumpy, paranoid wrecks who see threats in every shadow. The kind that makes you question whether this little rock in the middle of nowhere was really worth the cost." The old general straightened one final time, every inch the career soldier, despite his age and circumstances. "So here's my question for you, Supreme Commander. Are you sure you want to find out what humanity is really capable of when we stop playing nice?" For the first time since Earth's conquest began, the Zephyrian command chamber was completely silent. Outside the ship's viewports, Earth turned slowly in the void, looking peaceful and defeated. But Zixthara found herself wondering what was stirring in those shadows, in those caves, in the hearts of 7 billion creatures who had just been told they had nothing left to lose. The old human was still smiling.